Hi, this is Scott with 4D Tech. Today we are in a 2016 Ford Explorer and we will be performing a My Ford Touch to Sync 3 upgrade. This process is the same in the 11 through 15 also, just in those vehicles the heater controls will look different. In order to perform this upgrade we need a few basic tools. A T20 Torx driver, a 7mm nut driver, and plastic dash removal tools. We will begin by removing the two pieces of trim on each side of the dash bezel to gain access to the screws. We want to start down in the thin part of the dash, putting our dash removal tool behind there and prying outward to release the clips, and then work our way up to the center. And then we'll start at the top and work our way down. Same on the other side. Now that we have the trim off, we need to remove the 4 7mm screws holding the dash bezel on. With the 4 7mm screws out, we'll put our fingers behind the dash bezel and pull out to release it. Put our hands behind near the top and pull out again to release the clips up at the top. Once we have the dash bezel loose, we'll turn it, and there's a single gray connector here that needs to be unplugged. The clip to release the connector is on the inside here, right at the back edge. You push in the clip with your finger and unplug it. And we'll set aside the dash panel for reassembly later. Before we change out the screen and APIM, we need to install the Sync 3 GPS antenna. The existing GPS antenna in the vehicle is not Sync 3 compatible, so that is why we need to install the one that came in the kit. It does not need to be on the top of the dash, but there cannot be any metal between the GPS antenna and the windshield. Where I am going to mount it on this Explorer is on top of the heater ducts below the dash up in front of this grill. First, I need to remove the grill to gain access using one of my dash removal tools. I'll pry up and around, get my fingers underneath and pull it the rest of the way off and flip it over. Through this speaker hole, if you feel up in, there's a flat section of the ductwork. We're going to take this rag that we already put rubbing alcohol on and reach in and clean that surface and prep it for the antenna with the double-sided tape that came on it. We include the piece of double-sided tape with the antenna in the kit. I've already adhered it to the antenna. So I'm going to pass the antenna through here, in between the heater ducts and up into the opening. Peel off the backing for the tape and reach up in and stick it to the top of the heater duct that I cleaned with the rubbing alcohol. I'll set the cable aside for later and replace this grill. Now we just need to pull the screen and the APIM out to replace it with the Sync 3 version. Once the 4 screws are out, we'll pull the screen and APIM out. And we need to unplug these two connectors. The USB connector, you push down on the tab on the top and unplug it. The main connector, you need to push down this little black lock in front of the lever and pull the lever towards you, and that releases the connector. We'll be replacing both the screen and APIM with the one that came in the kit, but we will need the brackets off of the end for the new one. Here's the new screen with the Sync 3 APIM from 4D Tech. We're going to remove the brackets from the old screen and put them on the new screen. We'll want to make sure that your connectors are both facing the same way when you move the brackets over, so that the brackets are on the correct side of the screen. In this vehicle, a T20 Torx is needed for the screws on each side of the screen. The screw holes will line right up on the Sync 3 screen, the same as they did on your My Ford Touch. Obviously, you should move the brackets over on a flat surface, on something soft like the foam that came in the box or so. I simply did this in the vehicle so that you could see it within the camera view. Now we need to connect the new Sync 3 screen and APIM. First, we'll reconnect the main 54-pin connector. With the lever all the way towards you, insert the connector into the APIM and push it till the lever starts to move. And then push the lever away from you to draw the connector in till it clicks past the lock. Take the black USB cable and plug it into the black connector until it clicks, with the clip facing up. The gray connector on the APIM is unused. Then take your new GPS antenna and connect that clip facing down to the GPS antenna jack on the new APIM, pushing that all the way in until it clips in. We'll put the bundle of wire that's left over behind the APIM. And now we'll reinstall this in the dash the same way the My Ford Touch system came out. We need to replace the 4 screws we took out from the screen. With the 4 screws in, now we need to replace the dash panel we removed earlier. Be sure to reconnect this gray connector, sliding it back in the same way it came out with the clip away from you until it clips in. Push the wire in this hole where the connector needs to land so the wire doesn't get stuck behind the dash. Once the dash is lined up, clip it back on. And we now need to put the 4 screws back in around the dash panel. Four screws back on the dash. We just need to replace our side trim pieces, snapping them back on completely. And now you see we've upgraded our My Ford Touch Sync 2 to Sync 3 with navigation. You can review our second video that shows you the hub replacement for the Sync 3 upgrade. Thank you for joining us and watching this video for the Sync 3 upgrade from My Ford Touch in the 2016 Explorer. This is Scott with 4D Tech.